video right here. It's called How Diablo 4 is Redefining Itemization. So while we wait, we'll watch this.
Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to discuss how Diablo 4's approach to itemization is in many ways revolutionary, but
Okay. To start off with what I think about Diablo itemization, I think Diablo 3 itemization's kind of bad. Like, it's just so broken. Like, set pieces give 10,000% extra damage. I don't think it's like, it's just outdated, right? Like, I think it could use some refreshing, some updates.
also
Hopefully they do it, because I think Diablo 3 loot is kind of stale. It's kind of boring.
sticks to the tried and true systems we love from past Diablo games. After all, Diablo 2 is the game that set the standard for so many games that came after it, many proclaiming it had near perfect itemization, and to this day, many games still look to Diablo 2's itemization for inspiration. Now, when it comes to Diablo 4, one of the most
Didn't like Path of Exile copy like a lot of Diablo 2 mechanics?
innovative new features, and what I think is genius is that the appearance of weapons and equipment will be based on the region they are found in. Now this is incredible. Items will actually look different based on zone. So
That's pretty cool, actually. I like that.
Found in Skazglen
makes sense too.
Druidic look than a chest armor found in Kyrgyzstan, which has a more arid environment, and therefore you might find the chest armor with more of a baggy cloth look to it. Now this is something completely
really
new
cool.
to ARPG.
Damn, the armor sets look really sick too, jam.
Or any game as far as I know, and really helps with immersion, since you would think you would find items that look like they're from the zone you're in. Now I'm really excited to see if the same exact item dropping in two different zones looks different depending on the zone you found it in, right? And so that would mean that the artists are designing multiple appearances for the exact same item. Or on the flip side, if it's just certain zone themed items only drop in their zones and nowhere else. Either way, however they end up doing, I think it's a very cool immersive design that's different.
That maze looks sick.
In the past. Now, we've seen a few item tooltips and they're looking pretty great, but what we haven't seen live yet is that item tooltips are actually going to automatically adjust themselves when calculating lucky hit chance depending on
Okay, 4 ranks of flay. I'm guessing that's a weapon. Hit effect, 13% slow chance. Okay. So far, none of this looks that crazy. Let's check out the legendary. This looks kind of... It looks kind of meh. This is a fast weapon, so it says if it's fast or slow, it looks like, which is pretty cool. I wish it would just say like how many attacks per second instead of saying fast or slow. You know, it's kind of dumbing it down a little bit. Plus 2% overpower chance. Not sure what that means. Okay, 13% all stats, 6% melee damage, crit attack speed. None of that's like unique at all. But let's see the hit effect. When Hurricane deals damage, there's a chance to automatically cast Tornado at the target for free. Okay, that's pretty cool. I feel like this is like nothing new though.
What skill is equipped. Now, the reason for this is because different skills have different proc coefficients. And so by changing your skills while hovering over an item, you can see in real time how that changes your proc coefficient. Now, this is a great change, I believe, that will really help players better understand their proc chances based on the current skill equipped, and really just help players optimize their build by letting them switch through their skills and realize, oh, this is probably the best skill to use with this lucky hit, for example. So I think this is awesome, and it's going to help the player not have to do as much maybe online browsing, and they can just stay in the game and kind of figure it out for themselves. And if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to
it's like that was a flay weapon. Like if you have flay, you know, you should probably use flay with that weapon.
That
makes sense.
Subscribe
plus 4 ranks.
Diablo 4 content.
Which I'm guessing is pretty significant.
Usually all characters in a Diablo game would typically equip a total of around 10 items, but in Diablo 4, barbarians are able to equip a total of 12 because of the arsenal system, which lets barbarians use different weapons for different skills, and rogues who can equip a total of 11 items because they can equip an additional ranged weapon.
I think I might try a rogue first on the beta. I'm most interested in the rogue because I like Demon Hunter in Diablo 3, but we'll have to see because it's kind of melee and range, so the combat's pretty fluid in that regard.
Very cool innovation for Diablo, which I'm actually interested to see how they end up balancing it, because an extra item slot in a game like Diablo, I feel like could really tip the scales, especially a weapon in the Barbarians case, or I guess both of them have weapons, right? This makes Barbarians and Rogues more hungry for loot, which means players might find it harder to find exactly what they're looking for because of the
But does that mean, like, did they get, like, does a barb, does that mean they get all the stats? So does like a barb have like 4 stat sticks? Right? Do you get all those extra stats from the weapon, or does it not apply unless you have it equipped? That's what I'm curious about, because that would be absolutely broken if that was the case.
Changes coming to trade. Now, back in Diablo 2, trading was a great way to collect all of your best items. You might find the best weapon for Necromancer, but you're not a Necromancer, and so you want to trade it for one of your best items. Or maybe you'll just make a Necromancer later because you found that item. That's a way you could do it too. But for the purpose of this example, let's say you want to trade the item, right? Well, in Diablo 4, trading is going to be somewhat restricted. Certain items.
Really? I wish they would just copy PoE. Like, Path of Exile trading is nice, but I mean, I think Diablo loot right now is catered to based on what class you're playing. Like, if you play Demon Hunter, you only get like Demon Hunter gear for the most part, like in terms of set pieces and legendaries. Obviously, you can get like any legendary, but like set pieces, you mostly get Demon Hunter set pieces, which makes sense. I kind of wish it was more free for all. And that if you play a Demon Hunter, you can get a Barb set piece or a Wizard set piece, and then you can trade with somebody else. You know, that'd be really nice. Like PoE, I like PoE's trading system. It's just nice because you can really pick what item you want. You know exactly what you're getting. You know, like when you go into like any of the end game stuff, like a map or something, you know, you're kind of always working towards that because their currency system's so unique. Like Chaos Orbs and Exalted Orbs, you know, they changed that recently. So, you know, like when you get like an Exalted Orb, like, oh shit, I could buy a really nice piece of gear with this. Whereas right now in Diablo, at least in Diablo 3, it's just like you're kind of just like, you're just rifting and you're just hoping you can get lucky.
To your character and untradable the moment you pick them up, meaning they are bound to your character and cannot be traded. This is called bind on pickup.
Yeah,
and this is a
that's
system in World of
lame.
Warcraft preventing certain powerful items from being traded. Developers have stated the main source for items should be from killing monsters, which I tend to agree with.
Yeah, but like, no matter, all the items come from monsters, so what matters if you trade it or not? I don't know. For me, like Diablo, it's the RNG loot anyway, so like, I don't know. I just really wish you could trade.
Hopeful, though, that there will be a way to exchange items and equipment of value with other players. In
like their philosophy on this has changed a lot. Like Diablo 3 came out with like a real money auction house, which is crazy. But that was all open trading, right? You didn't have to spend money. They had like a gold auction house or like a real money auction house. Obviously, the real money auction house was kind of weird. Especially because I think there was like duping and stuff going on with the items. People just made money off that and kind of like cheated during that. But I really just wish they'd have like an auction house in game. You could buy this with gold, right? Because right now gold in Diablo 3 is really an unlimited resource for the most part, right? I mean, you have to spend gold on like crafts and stuff, but I mean, there's times I have like 4 or 5 billion gold and I don't really have much to spend it on.
And I think there will be.
She's like, it's not good.
The community is so creative. Now, moving on to what items actually do in Diablo 4. Affixes have always been exciting and a core part of Diablo. Now, one affix in particular from Diablo 2 that was not in Diablo 3 is finally returning to the Diablo universe, and that is the plus skill rank affix. Like in Diablo 2, different skills roll on specific item slots. So, for example, some items only appearing on certain weapons, like in Diablo 2, Wolf's Head Helms had Druid skills, Staves had Sorceress skills, and what I'm actually interested to see here is if we can get other classes skills. So for example, in Diablo 2 Act 3, you could buy a Staff of Teleport, and that was amazing. It just enabled you to get around so much easier, right? You ran into a dead end, well, now you can teleport and get right back on your way. But Teleport was a Sorceress skill, and so being able to have that as a class other than Sorceress was really,
that's pretty
really cool. So I hope that's something that can happen again in Diablo 4 with these plus skill rank affixes, which are coming back. Okay.
I don't think that's like anything unique though. Like Path of Exile has this. Like there's even certain like certain armor types that have it. Like Bone Helmet, for example. What is it? Like every Bone Helmet has +1 to summon skeletons. So, like Bone Helmets are really good for, you know, summoner builds, and they have even like they have a lot of different items like that, where the bases are primarily targeted towards certain builds. So that's like nothing. I mean, it's cool. I'm happy it's in the game, but like that's nothing like revolutionary.
Moving on to item qualities, which Diablo 2 established years and years ago and is still used in so many modern games, including Diablo 4. Item qualities include normal, magic, rare, legendary, set, and unique. Normal items will
Whoa. The set's not green anymore?
And unique.
So it goes blue, rare, here's legendary.
Normal items will
and then this is unique. Unique's like brown.
have
Okay.
no affixes. Magic items will have affixes such as plus 7% resource regeneration. Rare items will have affixes that are usually better than magic items and can also have legendary affixes. Legendary items modify skills like in Diablo 3, but unlike Diablo 3, Blizzard has emphasized that they're not going to rain from the sky, meaning they're going to be much more rare, even though there will be hundreds of legendary items in the game. Now this is awesome.
Hundreds of legendaries. I hope they're all unique and fun to use, or at least most of them. Like, I feel like that should be important. If it's rare, if it's legendary, it should feel legendary to get to use. Because like in Path of Exile, you know, I know they revamped this, but Path of Exile had this problem where a lot of the legendaries, you would get it and it like, you know, you wouldn't even pick it up because it was that legendary. Just like you would literally just ignore it because it was just a crappy legendary. But then there was like probably like what 1 to 2% of legendaries were like really good to get, and that felt awesome to when you got them to drop. But so hopefully it's kind of maybe in the middle between that. They have hundreds. Obviously, not all of them are going to be super strong or cool, but hopefully most of them are.
Able to spend years and years playing Diablo 4 and still not find like certain items is what I'm looking forward to. So I hope they put a ton of items that are rare in the game, and it just takes a long time to eventually see them. I think it's going to be a really fun way to explore Diablo.
I don't know if I like that though. If he's saying it takes years to find, if he wants to take years to find certain items, but you can't really trade, that would just kind of feel shitty, right? That would just feel bad. Because like in Path of Exile, I've been playing the game for like a decade, right? For years, I've never found a mirror. Most people will never find a mirror. But it's not like a mirror is an item. It just like enables you to buy items. So like you could buy something totally really strong with a mirror, but you know, it's not like it's like an actual piece of gear or like a weapon.
Diablo 4 and make finding legendaries so much more meaningful. Now, legendaries will fall into a couple different categories.
I like that they're going to be
generic,
rare,
which any class can find useful. Something like enemies hit by your basic skills increase the damage of your next core skill by 20%. Or they'll be skill specific, which only a certain class like Sorceress could find useful. Something.
Okay, let's check this. So, Amulet of Pulling Warwind. Wong Hard, thank you for the sub on YouTube. What's up? So this is like a Whirlwind. This is like Barbarian. Overpower damage, 16%. That's really crazy. 6% damage while healthy. I hope they have like advanced ones. I'm guessing healthy means like above 90% HP or something. 4 max fury, and then 11% fury cost reduction. So this is a barbarian only, really amulet. Whirlwind periodically pulls nearby enemies to you. So this is a cool amulet, yeah. This is a fun legendary.
Like each time chain lightning.
This could be like really good for obviously the Whirlwind build.
Bounces gain 6 mana. Set items aren't going to be in the game at launch, but will be added post-launch, and will be less powerful or equal in power to.
Why aren't set items? That's not good. Why are set items not in the game at launch? That seems really bad. Like why are they restricting loot from the game at launch? Why is this not a finished game? Why?
Legendary items and are really just
is that like a philosophy thing, or they just like are behind on the game? They just want to push the game out even though they haven't designed all the pieces yet. Oh god.
Meant to allow players to live out certain class fantasies or act as an introduction to the class, not so much as an endgame best in slot item like they are in Diablo 3, where every season has you going straight for your class set, which sort of destroyed the player's opportunity for any sort of equipment creativity. The last type.
Yeah, but I think the set pieces are unique. Because yeah, obviously there's a meta. I feel like there's still going to be a meta in Diablo 4, you know? But each set vastly was different for the most part than every other set, right? Like for Demon Hunter, you had the multi-trap build, then you had the sentry set, right? That you just pop down like 4 sentries or 5 sentries, and then they would use your skills. That was really cool. They had the god build where you just spin to win. They had like the support build. So in each one of these builds was very different to play, and I think that adds for a lot of replayability. Obviously, it kind of sucked to have to get 4 or 5 pieces for each set, and it took a while to get that. But having them, balance these sets each season and mix up the meta a little bit was fun, and I think that's why people play Diablo 3 a lot. If they like their class, they like the sets, there's a lot of replayability there. Especially if you're pushing leaderboards, you want to get like a top spot in every different set, and that's something that a lot of players like to do.
Of item quality is uniques. These are items which you design your build around that have fixed affixes and are heavily tied to class-specific powers and themes. Very exciting.
Okay, now tying your build around an item is cool. Like Path of Exile is like that. Like if you get one really good item, it's like, okay, go make this spec, go make this character now, because it's just gonna be so strong. So this is a mace. This looks like a really cool mace. 2% overpower chance. I'm not sure what overpower is. You get stats, melee. Oh, we looked at this earlier. Oh, this is like a hurricane. So I'm guessing this is a wizard staff or something. Wait, no, it's melee damage. I don't know what hurricane is.
Excited to see what some of those are. I'm also really excited to see that the item qualities appear to be a mixture of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. I personally love Diablo 2 item qualities the best, but I think Diablo 3 legendaries were actually a lot of fun too, in the way that they could augment your character and sort of...
Yeah, I like Diablo 3. I didn't play Diablo 2 like at all really, but Diablo 3's loot was pretty fun. I just think it's a little stale now. The set pieces are really cool though. Your poisons no longer deal damage over time. Instead, 127% of the total damage dealt to target when your poisons expire. Okay, so this could be this is actually really strong if it's like a really like tanky mobs. Your poisons just do a lot of damage whenever they expire.
Your character and sort of inspire you to play in a certain way. Now I've seen the new inventory, and you can actually see here it's organized into 4 different tabs. You've got equipment, consumables, quest items, and aspects.
Okay.
This can be helpful to stay organized, but it also hints at the possibility that we may be looting a lot of quest items and holding on to a lot of consumables in Diablo 4. After all, if we have an entire tab for that, which is the same size as the equipment tab, then there should be the same amount of consumables as equipment theoretically and quest items. So I think this is a hint that, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're picking up. Maybe you're going to collect like 20 or 40 different things for quests, and so you need a whole nother tab for it.
Okay.
But then again, the inventory could just be completely redesigned in the future. We'll have to see. It would be cool if you could put equipment in all the tabs, right? If that's the way you want to go. That's sort of interesting seeing this tab feature, and kind of interested to see how it fills up as we play the game. Now, one of the biggest surprises to me is that Diablo 4 developers have actually stated that the strength of your character is not going to come mostly from items, and I think this is an important point. Blizzard developers have stated their goal is for your power to come from a mixture of sources like skill upgrades, endgame systems like the Paragon board, leveling, and then finally items as well. Now this is pretty surprising because items are so central to almost all Blizzard RPGs, and most RPGs...
Yeah, I feel like MMOs and ARPGs... like gear is everything for the most part. Obviously skills and Paragon is huge in Diablo 3 too. Like the difference between a character that has the same gear but one person is has like 2,000 Paragon versus someone who has like 200 Paragon is huge. And I think Paragon levels are kind of bad. I don't like Paragon levels. I think they should be capped out because it's kind of ridiculous how high they can go. But this will be interesting. I kind of don't know how I feel about this. I feel like the whole point of ARPGs is to get gear, and if like that's what makes getting gear so fun too. Is like you can kind of feel your progression. Like once you get like a big staff, or once you finish your 4-piece set in Diablo 3, your character power just like jumps like crazy. So. But we'll have to see how it feels in the beta.
General, hunting for loot is just a core part of these games, and if items are only a part of that, I'm wondering what the other parts are that could possibly compete for your attention in the end game.
Maybe
because
gems.
You're constantly always seeking loot, so I'm curious, are you just going to go out and grind XP instead of looking for loot, or is loot just going to be sort of a side objective? I'm interested to see how they end up pulling this off in the end. Another big part of Diablo 4 is actually going to be your mounts, finding new and rare mounts beyond just
that's
horses.
cool. I forgot they have mounts.
Diablo 4 experience. So I can only imagine, are we going to be riding demons? And what's interesting about mounts is that mounts themselves can even equip items which grant stats and change their appearance.
That's really cool.
Make them even move faster. Now I'm curious to see how big a role mounts are going to play in Diablo 4. And to be totally honest, I'm not too excited about the mounts. I mean, moving faster is great, but it does sound like they're going to be a pretty big part of the game, and it could be sort of like your companion in a way, since there's not going to be mercenaries or companions like there were in Diablo 3 and 2. So perhaps mounts is sort of taking that place. I'm also curious how mounts are going to affect PvP. Is it going to be sort of whoever gets their dismount attack off first is going to get a big advantage?
I'm not really into PvP.
How soon after
with these kinds of games
can you mount up again?
That could be fun
PvP?
though.
So I wonder if it's going to be a lot of like remounting a lot in PvP.
The Diablo 3 had PvP, right? You had to like go to the town and go to like the, I think. But PvP and ARPGs is really like not really good. Which is fine because I don't think that's what most people want to play the game for anyway. It's not like a design for PvP, but like I don't know anybody that PvPs like in Diablo or Path of Exile.
Hopefully Blizzard finds a good way to balance mounts.
Maybe if they had like a set thing, like a team deathmatch mode or like an arena mode where it's like, okay, it was a little bit balanced, kind of like maybe like how Lost Ark is. I think Lost Ark's PvP is pretty fun, or maybe even like WoW where it's like arena, because otherwise like with the gear and everything, people are just gonna get one shot, or it's just gonna be super broken.
And make it a fun system that works. Now, another big innovation in Diablo 4 is that creature types have an increased chance of dropping certain items. So for example, bandits, they're gonna have an increased chance to drop maces, crossbows, and boots, while drowned, which is sort of an undead creature that came out of the ocean, are going to have an increased chance to drop pants. Other monster families like skeleton, fallen, and others will have their own increased drop chances, which hasn't been revealed yet. I think this is an interesting change. If you're looking for a specific piece of gear, you're going to go, okay, skeletons drop gloves. I'm going to go.
Yeah, this way you can kind of like target farm a certain piece you're looking for, which is pretty cool. You know, I don't know what the percentages are, but if it's significant, yeah, like I'm just going to farm this zone because I really want to get this set of pants. Otherwise I'm guessing it's all, you know, every mob is probably also like random and what they drop to, but it'd be cool if it's like pretty significant where you can just see, I'm gonna just farm this zone today, so I get this, then after that I want to farm this zone,
this crypt, and just farm for,
because if they don't have trading, like if trading is really reduced, then it's gonna like it'd be kind of bad to like if you're missing like one piece of gear and you just like never get it, because like you said, if it's gonna take hundreds of hours or to get like one piece of loot just because of the drop rate's really low, like that would just kind of feel bad.
Or my best in slot glove, and sort of that sort of is how it's decided, right? So I'm interested to see if that's sort of the way we're going to do it, if that's their intention behind making certain monster families drop certain things, but we're going to have to see ultimately how it turns out. When it comes to weapons, what I find interesting coming in Diablo 4 is that each weapon type is going to have inherent characteristics which can't be modified. So for example, bows, they're going to do plus X% damage to distant enemies. Staves are going to do plus X% damage to crowd-controlled enemies. So it's going to sound like this has really, I mean, it sounds like this really has the potential to control how you play the game. For example, if you're using a bow, you would almost want to be shooting at enemies that aren't even on your screen anymore, right? Like an entire screen away.
I don't like that. That's not, I don't like the bow one. The staff one, the stave one is cool. Like, you know, you want to like maximize your CC so you get the more damage, but like shooting enemies from far away with a bow, it just like really reduces your playstyle. Just always be back like as far as you can, which isn't that fun. Especially with like a rogue that wants to get into melee and ranged, to like realize you're not doing as much damage because you're not off the screen. Shooting enemies off the screen is not a good playstyle at all. So I kind of dislike that. Maybe I won't play rogue. That just doesn't seem fun.
To maximize your damage bonus by using a bow, or if you are wielding a staff, you're going to want to choose all crowd controlling skills to ensure your own.
I don't think it should be like that though. Like, how much damage are we talking here? Like, I wouldn't want to make all CC abilities just to get a 5% damage upgrade, right? It depends how much of an upgrade it is.
Always getting that plus damage. So I think it's going to depend on how much plus damage actually it ends up being to determine if players actually completely change their play style depending on what weapon they're using. But it also does feed in sort of the realism, the fantasy, the immersion of using your weapon properly, right? If you're using a bow, you probably shouldn't be in melee range. And so this sort of encourages players to use their weapon.
It depends on the build, right? I think Diablo 3 had the Demon Hunter, which always used bow, right? For the most part. Or crossbow or whatever, and you know, if there's like a trap build, maybe you would get pretty close. So I think limiting a playstyle based on the weapon type isn't the greatest design. Obviously, it should enhance, you know, if that's what they want, like maybe with a stun thing, but it shouldn't like be too bad to, like, it shouldn't feel too bad to do that. if you want to play like up and close with a bow, you shouldn't be like missing out like on a lot of damage because of that. That should just be like a minor buff you get.
Happens in a way that is logical. So I think this could
So I think the values they do for that really is important.
be a cool system. Now, another new feature coming to Diablo is dungeons. And what's cool about these
I'm excited
dungeons
for
is
this.
that you can actually farm specific item slots of gear. So for example, gloves. I imagine when you mouse over a dungeon entrance, you might get information on it, sort of like a tooltip.
Okay.
What specific item slot is going to drop off the boss or the monsters in the dungeon, so you can decide accordingly if this is a dungeon you want to do.
This is kind of like MMO vibes. Like if you want to target certain items, is that what he's saying?
Now, this is an interesting idea, but I'm wondering how it will be implemented.
Like this boss from this dungeon drops this piece of loot. That'd be really that'd be kind of weird, honestly, because it's an action RPG. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It's kind of how MMOs are, right? But usually with ARPGs, it's all like randomized. So
It could be cool to know exactly what item slot drops and then seek it out, but it also kind of takes away from the randomness and the surprise of finding an item you didn't even know about. Of course, over time, everyone sort of learns where to farm certain items, so it might not be a bad idea to just show that in game so that you don't have to sort of look it up online or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it could be cool. Now, another new change coming.
I'm excited to play this at launch at the beta. Obviously, I think after the beta, I feel like most people are just gonna copy paste builds and go for like the best. But it's really fun to play these kind of games at the start where no one knows what's good, right? No one knows what's up, so you can kind of go in, play your own build, play it scuffed as fuck, have a hard time doing these low level shit, and really just like explore your builds and make your own. Obviously, you can still do that in the end game, but I feel like everyone jumps to the best build at the end game whenever everyone figures it out.
Coming in Diablo 4 is that primary stat main effects will be different depending on the class.
Okay.
So for example, strength is going to increase a barbarian's skill damage, but it's going to have actually no effect on sorcerers.
I think that's not how it is in Diablo, right? I think in Diablo 3, the stat is the same for every class. So this is pretty cool.
Each stat also has a secondary bonus, which is going to actually be the same for all classes.
So this is the same. Okay, so strength increases armor. Yeah. Okay, that's why like you see some wizards using like strength just for the armor and like in the high rifts and stuff. And gives you intelligence, or intelligence gives you resist. Okay, willpower is new. Healing received. Okay, so that's from like potions and health globes and stuff. Maybe some skills too. Dexterity gives you dodge. Yeah, I think that's how it is in D3 too.
So sticking with the strength example, 1 strength will increase armor by 1 regardless of your class. So this system makes sense, and it kind of allows for more deliberate choices to be made based on your stats. I've started to notice that Diablo 4 is almost trying to be a little bit more realistic, like with how weapons work and things like that. In more recent news, one of the most massive changes coming to Diablo 4 that we just learned about in the developer live stream at the end of February is that armor will also absorb elemental damage taken, which was only possible through resistances in past Diablo games. Armor will provide 50% of its reduction to elemental damage.
Wait, that's OP. Wait, so armor is just OP then? 50% reduction in what?
As well as its regular reduction to physical damage.
That's crazy.
So a max level character can get about 40% damage reduction to physical damage through armor, and therefore a 20% reduction to elemental damage.
So everyone's just gonna stack armor. All right, that seems kind of weird. I don't know if I like that, honestly. I think that kind of limits the variability of what you can do with gear and items, right? Because like say there's like a big dungeon that you're trying to farm or you want to do for the first time, and there's like a lot of frost gear or frost damage. Maybe you can like target gear or equip gear that has like frost resistance. I think that's really cool. Like when games really try to force you to use certain pieces of loot based on what kind of content you're trying to do. Whereas this just like armor just is broken then. If you get 40% damage reduction from armor, and then at the same time, you get 20% damage reduction from all resist from that armor, that's really strong.
Through armor as well. Now, I actually enjoyed the separation between elemental damage and physical damage. So this change, I don't know if I like. Of course, it helps.
I don't like that. That just kind of like, I don't know. Just get armor, GG, get armor. That's it now. Obviously, you need to get some resist, but you probably get that passively with just gear. Like I like how Path of Exile makes all resists serious. Like if you go into like a key or like a map, and you have 20% lightning resistance, and a lightning boss hits you with a light, you're gonna get one shot. And that's good. I like that. That's fun, especially like how every act, like threshold, like reduces your your resistances. So like you really have to focus on resist as soon as you get to maps, because otherwise you're just gonna get one shot. So I really hope Diablo 4's endgame is kind of a little bit like this, where gear is important to survivability and also damage. And I feel like in Diablo 3 it was really never like that. You know, which is kind of a bummer. Maybe at the start of it, but once they did all the changes, you know, gear kind of got stale. I like the set items from Diablo 3, and some of the legendaries are really cool as well. But so far from what I've seen in this video, what's the difference? Like, I guess you get those passives with the skills, right? So like, oh, this skill has +4 ranks, and then you have like certain armor types that give you, like how like I said earlier, like with Path of Exile, like, oh, you know, with the bone helmet, this gives you +1 summon skeletons. I think that's the only difference I've seen with this.
There's to not die instantly, to cold damage,
which isn't like
resistance to it, but also,
I mean, it's great, but it's like not that innovative.
That was sort of the fun of realizing that you need to go find equipment with cold resist. So this change feels a little bit catered more towards a casual player base.
Yeah, this is fucking casuals.
Again, we'll have to see how powerful armor is in the end for defending against elemental damage.
Like, I wish they would just make it like more advanced and more confusing. Not confusing, but make systems. Like, Path of Exile has so many systems, but they're good. Make it a little bit more complicated. FA14, thank you for the sub. You know, like, right now it's just boring. Like, I wish it was like Path of Exile, but not as complicated. Like, make the end game like Path of Exile, make the gear a little bit like Path of Exile, but just reduce the complicated stuff, because PoE is super complicated. I want something like in the middle between PoE and Diablo 3 in terms of how like difficult and complicated it is.
The amount of defense items will provide.
I don't want it to be a casual
system called item
game, because casual games are great, yeah, but they get super boring, super stale. And after playing for a week, you know, everyone just moves on.
Which will be shown on an items tooltip, so you can kind of figure out how much armor each of your items is giving you. Monsters are also going to have armor, and that's going to scale with their level, giving them that physical and elemental.
Armor damage reduction armor. Okay, this is for for like, this is like their level. Okay.
Damage reduction. And I think a lot of players will be excited to hear that Diablo 4 will use the personal loot system. Loot is generated separately per player, so there's no stress when a world boss dies to...
That's how it was in Diablo 3 too. That's not innovative.
Be in melee range and just click as fast as you can to grab whatever dropped.
That's good, but
drop will be yours every single time. Now, overall, I think Diablo 4 has a lot of exciting new takes on itemization in an ARPG, and I'm actually...
I don't think any of these takes are new. I don't know what this guy's talking. None of these takes are new. Like, I do like this change. I like how the gear is based on the region. I think that's really cool, the way it looks. Like, if like, and like, for example, right here,
item
like this could be from like a cathedral or something. This is kind of like a desert vibe, you know. The winter ones, those big, like this could be like a winter zone. So that is really cool. I think that's pretty unique to an action RPG. But I think that's the only thing. Like, everything else in this game, in terms of itemization, it looks a little bit better than Diablo 3, but I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's genius. I really don't think it's genius. But you know, maybe it'll be fun to use. I don't think it's like that innovative, but you know, we'll see how it feels when the beta comes out. We'll see how it feels when the game comes out. I'm hoping this is going to be a good game. I'm really skeptical. Obviously, Blizzard's releases in the past 2 years have been pretty dicey. Like, Overwatch 2 has been pretty bad. I think Dragonflight is a good expansion, so that was nice to see. I'm hoping for the best. I really love Diablo. I played Diablo 3 a lot over the years, and I'm really looking forward to Diablo 4. I love action RPGs. I play Path of Exile a lot as well. So we'll have to see when the game comes out. But that was a good video.
Hey,
that was a good video. I learned a lot there, actually. All right.